Hello everyone, it's time for another tale from the dining room, and today's story is A Battle of the Beetles, and it's about a bunch of ladybirds who think they're a little bit special but find out that they're not so special after all. And as you grow up, you will find that you might meet people who think that they're better than you simply because they're prettier or cleverer or because they've got more stuff or because they do a better job than you do. But actually, as human beings, we're all part of the same team. We're all important. We all need to work together. And if we do that, then everything gets done and the world is a better place. And it's much better to do that than to worry about arguing over who's best. Okay? So we're going to start with Once Upon a Time. Okay? So, are you ready? Once upon a time, in Judy's veg patch, everything was still. But if you listened with your clever listening ears, you would hear tiny raised voices. You see, it was a warm summer's day, and the ladybirds, instead of doing their jobs, were worrying about who was the prettiest and arguing about who was the best. The 7-spot ladybird spoke first and loudest. Everyone knows I've got 7 spots, and 7 is a magical number, and lots of human beings think that 7 is their lucky number. So obviously I am the most important in the garden. No, said the 10-spot. Actually, I'm more important because I have 10 beautiful spots. And 10 is a very special number because without 10 you couldn't make big numbers. So 10 is definitely the way to go. Quietly, the 2-spot ladybird whispered, I don't mean to be rude, but I think you'll find that in the world today, 2 is more important than 7 and more important than 10. Because without the number 2, not a single computer would work. Men would never have been able to walk on the moon. So I think you'll find that the number 2 is more important than the number 7 or the number 10, and therefore I am the best. Then one of the plain brown ground beetles spoke up. Well, I might not have any spots or be able to count, but I think you'll find that I'm pretty important because I eat the weeds in Judy's garden and I make holes in the ground so the air can get in. So I think you'll find that I'm important, and also I nibble the bugs that nibble Judy's vegetables under the ground. So I might not be bright and brash, I might just be plain brown, but I think you'll find that I and very important. Yes, and me, said the big black dung beetle. I make holes in the ground to help the air get in, and I roll animal poo into big balls, sometimes bigger than me, and I roll them away. I think that's a great skill. Just then, the wise old stag beetle, who everybody was secretly scared of, crawled out from underneath his log pile, raised himself up to his full height, so that he looked even more impressive, and just stood there. All the other beetles, because ladybirds are just red beetles with black spots, looked a bit sheepish. I think we're in trouble now. And they knew that in terms of impressiveness, not much could beat the stag beetle. And he was way ahead of poo rolling. They waited for him to speak. It's best not to interrupt a stag beetle because although they're vegetarian, they do look very, very scary. Beetles, he said, we are all important. Doesn't matter how colourful we are or who has the most spots. What is important is that we all work together in the garden and do our roles. We have been given those roles and they play a big part in the garden. He then leant in to the ladybirds and he whispered in rather a scary voice, and if I was you girls, I would get back to your job, which is munching aphids, because right now Judy is coming down the garden path to look at her veg patch, and when she sees the green fly on her beans, she's not going to be very happy. So quick sticks, back to work. They looked round, and sure enough, padding down the garden in her green wellies was Judy. And quickly the ladybirds took flight and flew off to the runner beans. When she saw the ladybirds having their breakfast of green flies, she smiled and said, "Well done, girls, good work." If only she'd known